It's been a very busy day, so let's get right into it with the national broadsheet with the Australian tomorrow. New wave of asylum boats is a real test for the ALP resolve. Australia's border protection regime has intercepted its second asylum boat in a month near the nation's shores, as Sri Lanka's sharpening economic crisis emboldens people smugglers to test the resolve of the new Labor government. The latest asylum boat intercepted by Operation Sovereign Borders carried 15 men who had left Sri Lanka on May 21, the day the Morrison government lost office and Labor won a majority government. Nick, what do you make of this? I think the timing is serendipitous, but it's also quite terrifying.
Well, it is, and the first arrivals of this nature for 2 years, so it does seem that the people smugglers have seen a marketing opportunity here and seized it, and this boat apparently left Sri Lanka on the day of the election. I wonder if they waited for Scott Morrison's concession speech before they set off. But fortunately, I think what we're seeing from Labor, from Anthony Albanese, is firm resolve, which is obviously what is needed, and the fact these people are on a plane and back after just a 2-hour visit to Christmas Island suggests that they're sending the right message back, and let's hope it's noted.
Yeah, absolutely. Carolee, we've seen so much upheaval around the world, but again in Sri Lanka, that's probably gone under the radar a little bit here because, you know, there's been horrific economic crises in Sri Lanka, specifically Colombo, with the government being basically hauled up inside Parliament House there. I guess, do you think that moving forward, do you think the dial, not so much as with the political spectrum, but maybe within the general public, the dial has maybe shifted and the mood has softened towards people seeking asylum? As we've seen just out of Perth this week, the family heading back to Billawheeler came from Sri Lanka just a decade ago.
Look, I think it is. I think also, you know, given when the war broke out in Ukraine, I think Australians have really had to step up with their understanding of geography and how other nations are. We've seen it with the Pacific as well, with the Solomon Islands, with Tonga, with Kiribati and everything. Getting back to Sri Lanka, you make that point. I do have to point out one thing, though, that there's been an incredibly strong public campaign for the Billawheeler family. That's how they've been known. The name has changed again. But we must remember that at the time, they were illegal. They were illegal asylum seekers, okay? There was no problem in Sri Lanka. There was no civil war. There was no problem with the Tamil Tiger. We know that their father had been back a couple of times. And, the saga is still not over. So it's important not to whitewash what was actually going on at the time when they actually came to Australia. But to get back to your original question, I don't know if it's a softening, but I think that we do have to be aware that it is an ever-changing geopolitical climate.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess just seeing those boats, I think the last thing anyone wants is people dying at sea, regardless of how they're getting here. I think it's a horrible situation for everyone involved. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Richard Marles tackles this one over the weekend.